Hello and welcome to new user training on Microsoft Teams. My name is Tony. I am the trainer for the Office of Information Technology, and we're going to go through this presentation about how to use Teams and Teams Phone and all of the features. So let's get started. So, what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft would tell you that Teams is a centralized workspace where you can do all of your work and everything is in it. So if you need to work on an Excel file, it's there. You want to talk and chat with somebody, you can do that. You want to get on a video call and talk with somebody face to face, you can also do that. It's a place where they've tried to put everything that would be in a normal person's workflow. Um, the one thing that is missing from it is email. So we still have Outlook. So we would use Outlook as well as Teams. Not sure why email hasn't made it into Teams if that's what they're trying to do, but that's what they did. Um, so to get started, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to smash the Windows key on your keyboard. And when you do that, the Windows settings menu is going to come up and we can type in the word Teams and Microsoft Teams, the app, is going to come up and we can click on the open button here and that is going to launch Teams for you. When you do, it is unlikely that you will need to log in, but it is possible. So if you do need to log in, you would use your brightpoint.edu account and you would log in with that with your username and password. If we've done our job correctly, though, you won't need to log in. Once you are inside of Teams, you're going to be met with a screen that looks a lot like this. So you can see that it's got this tour that it wants you to go on, which you could do, but we're going to go through it and I'm going to tell you all about it right now. So you can probably just click out of it and click that X. And then I want to direct your attention to the first thing that we're going to go over, which is the navigation bar. So on the left-hand side of the screen over here, we have the navigation bar. Inside of the navigation bar, there's all these different things, and we're going to talk about them. But for right now, we are on the Activity tab in the navigation pane. Inside of the Activity tab is where you're going to see all of the notifications for stuff that you missed while you were not looking at Teams. So if you are familiar with Facebook, it's kind of like your Facebook feed. So in here, we can filter it by clicking this button and look at specific things. There's some settings that we can change up here by clicking on the cogwheel. And then these are the things that are in the activity feed. So for example, this person mentioned you, so they are showing up in the activity feed as a mention. If we right click on it, we can mark it as read or unread, and then we can remove it as well. This is a good place to keep track of everything that's been going on while you were doing other things other than paying attention to Teams. Again, in the navigation pane, we are looking at the chat tab now. So this is what the chat is going to look like. We'll talk some more about this in a few minutes with all the features of this. My wife helped me make this this training, so shout out to my lovely wife Shannon. Thank you, honey. Um, so here is a list of all the things that can be inside of the navigation pane. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it can get kind of crowded. There can be a lot of things in here, and we'll talk more about it. But this is kind of what it's going to look like whenever you're using it on a day-to-day basis. So the first thing that I really want to show you how to do is going to be to set your picture and set your status message, because that's very important. So here we are in Teams. Up here in the top right, we have this handsome gentleman. We're going to click on the picture here. Yours is probably going to look like a generic stickman picture person. Go ahead and click that, and that's going to bring up this menu. Inside of this menu, there's going to be several things that we can do, such as set your status. So if we're going to set our status, we can be available, offline, away, whatever, and you can set those things there. Additionally, you can also pick um, to set a specific status. So, for example, I'm at the dentist, and you can put that in here, and then everybody will see that you are at the dentist. Now, if you want to change your picture, again, we're going to click on this handsome guy up here, and then that's going to bring up this menu. And then if you hover over the picture, there's going to be that little camera icon where we can click it, and then it will bring up a file browser for you to pick the photo that you want to set as your photo. And it's going to work just like when you're setting your photo on any other thing that you've ever done. Moving right along, let's look at the search bar. So I want to take a minute and talk about the search bar. It's not as boring as it possibly seems. So here we have an example of me misspelling the word mangoes because I didn't know what I was doing, and I searched for it. So it gives me some results here. And what we can see is that we can filter the results by people that we're looking for, messages, files, or communities or teams that are inside of here. So the search bar is helpful when you're looking for stuff, obviously, and then also it does some other cool stuff. So, for example, if you want to be cool with it, you can set your status by just typing / available, away, busy, whatever. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can find these online if you Google it. But there's some cool stuff that you can do in here in the search bar. Moving along, let's talk about chat. So here we are again in the navigation pane. We are on the chat tab. And this is what a chat's going to look like. So here's the chat that we were talking about earlier. And if we right click on it, we have some options here. So we can open it in a new window, which I'll talk about in a second. We can pin it, mute it, block it, whatever. One thing that I want to stress about Teams is that, for example, if we deleted this chat because we didn't want to see it anymore, it may be gone for you and you don't see it anymore, but that doesn't mean that the chat is gone because the other person can still see the chat and the chat history, and then IT can still see the information in there. So if you accidentally deleted a chat and you need to get it back, you can ask IT, you can ask us, and we will be able to restore it for you. So it's always there. It never really goes away. It only just appears like it goes away. So chat is persistent. Here's some more options up here in the chat tab. So if we want to make a new chat, we would click on like the pad with the pen, and we can make a new chat with somebody else. We can hop on a video call, and then here's some filtering options to filter your chats once you have a bunch in there. So I said that we were going to talk about opening a new window, and here we are. So if we click on open in a new window from that button there, or right clicking on it, then it opens the chat in a new window. So this is useful if you have somebody that you're talking to the whole day, or you talk a lot with. You can have their own window, and if that helps your workflow, then this is an option for you. So let's say that we wanted to talk to more than one person at a time in a chat. So what we would do is we would go in the chat with one of the people that we want to talk with, and then we would click this button up here that's the people with the plus sign. This is going to open up this box where we can type in the name, phone number, or email of whoever it is that we're trying to find. Once we do that, and we have added an extra person into the chat, we can have a chat with them. You can add as many people as you like. It isn't limited to a certain number. Once you've added people to a group chat, let's say we needed to tell this person something and we were talking with them, but then we don't need to talk to them anymore and we want them to go away. So what we can do is we can click on this button up here again, and then we can remove this person from the chat so they're not in there anymore. We can add additional people. And then we can also rename the chat. So instead of it just saying Eric and Shannon, it can say Eric and Shannon group chat, or whatever you want it to say, by clicking this pencil icon up here. The next thing I want to talk about is called a ping. So a ping is this thing down here where Shannon has pinged me, Tony. And you'll notice that it shows up as this kind of orangey golden color, and it draws my attention here so that I know that I am urgently needed or whatever. This will also show up in the activity feed whenever you are pinged. So to do a ping to get somebody's attention, what we would do is we would come in the chat and we would type the @ symbol like in an email address. And then Teams is going to suggest some folks, but we can start typing their name if they don't immediately pop up. Then we can select them, and then we can send the message so that it looks like this. Moving along, so here we are in the, again, we're still in the chat, and I want to show you some options about how to format things. So here we have this message. And we're going to click on this plus sign down here. And the plus sign is going to give us two options. So we can show formatting options and set delivery options. We're going to talk about formatting options first. So if we click on that, then we get this toolbar here that has a bunch of the same stuff that you're probably familiar with like Word or Outlook, where we can bold something, do a list, highlight stuff, change the font, all that stuff that you're already familiar with. And that gives you the ability to format your message in a better or prettier way. The other thing that we could do is we can click on set delivery options. So again, we clicked on this plus sign here in the message window, and we click on set delivery options. What that allows us to do is we can send it as a standard message, which is a standard message, or we can send it as important. So if we send it as important, the message is going to have a exclamation point next to it so that whoever you're talking to understands that it is important. This can be helpful to get somebody's attention. Some additional buttons. So these are things that you're already familiar with. So the smiley face here is for emojis. You can add pictures and you can add attachments. So just like every other Microsoft program that you're already familiar with. Moving along, so let's talk about how to send a file. So what we did is we clicked on the paperclip. And that brought up a file browser where we picked the file. So here's an example file that we have sent. This is what it's going to look like in a chat when we send a file. When we send the file, to show that we have received it, we can thumbs up it. So we can react to messages. It's a lot like your Facebook feed where you can thumbs up or whatever. And so I have thumbs up this that I have received this file. If for whatever reason you accidentally thumbs up something that you shouldn't, or you smiled at something that was maybe you shouldn't smile at, you can just click it again and it goes away. You can also click over here where the plus sign is on the smiley face, and that's going to give you all the different options for how to pick different reactions and emojis. So let's move on. So let's talk about Teams itself. So there's Teams, the program, and then there's also Teams, which are groups inside of Teams. It's confusing, I know. Microsoft should work on it. So let's talk for a second about the difference between a Teams channel and a chat. So a chat is an informal conversation with somebody that can be a one-off or a running conversation with like a small group of people. And it's for just day-to-day normal stuff like asking your manager questions, talking to your direct reports about what's going on, talking to coworkers about whatever you need to talk to coworkers about. A Teams channel is different in that it is more for long-term collaborative work on a project or topic, and it's more formal and structured. So that's kind of the difference between the two. So here we are on the Teams channel, on the Teams tab in the navigation panel, and here's all the different teams that we are a part of. So this is what it's going to look like. And let's say we want to join a team or create one. So we're, again, here on the Teams tab in the navigation pane, and we can click this plus sign up here. which is going to let us create a channel within a team. So I should back up for a second. So team is big pie, big circle. So all channels are going to be inside of teams. Teams hold channels. So the team, we can create a team, and then we can create a channel within the team. We can also join a team. So, for example, let's take this channel that is inside of the Spring Cookie Launch 2028 uh, teams. So on here, this main channel, if we right click it and we are the owner or the administrator of it, we're going to have all these options. So I'm not going to go through all of them because they're kind of obvious, but you can manage the team, you can delete it, you can share the link to somebody else so that they can get it, you can bounce out of it, whatever you're going to do, but here's some options if you right click on it. When we're inside of this channel, we can navigate around inside of it. So we're in the Spring Cookie Launch team, we're in the main channel, and then we can filter by posts, files, or notes. So posts are going to be things where people are talking about stuff. Files are things that have been shared inside of the channel. And then there's notes or posts or conversations that are going on in it. Let's move on. So let's talk about the calendar. So the calendar is integrated inside of Teams, and the calendar is going to be exactly the same thing that is already in Outlook. There's really no difference at all, other than there's one in Outlook and there's one in Teams. So the one in Teams is going to work like this. So we're on the calendar section of the navigation pane, and here we have an item. So we have a job interview on this day. So we can right click on it and we can do all the same stuff that we would normally do in Outlook, where we keep our calendars already. So we can edit it, open the meeting chat. We can also join it online right here to get into the meeting. So let's say we want to make a meeting. So we can go to calendar, and then we can click on new meeting, and then that's going to bring up the same exact page um, that you're already familiar with in Outlook for creating items in there. I want to show you something that makes me really excited. So this is my absolute favorite thing about Teams. I don't know why I get so excited about it. I just do. Back in the Stone Ages, when we were still using Skype or other programs to have meetings, you had to keep track of the link to join it. And that was always very cumbersome to me. No longer. So inside of Teams, if you have a meeting and it's time for the meeting, you can just click this join button right on the meeting out of your calendar, and then boom, you're right in the meeting. And that makes me very happy. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew about this one. So once we join the meeting, it's going to look like this. So here's a page where we're going to be able to join the meeting once we set some settings. So for example, this is going to show that in this example, there is no camera connected here. So because there's no camera connected here, it's going to show you that there's no camera. And so if there is a camera, you could change your settings. You can also change uh, the microphone settings, so your input and output, and you can pick those things here. Once you have this all configured the way that you want it to, you can click join now. And then once you join the meeting, it's going to look like this. So here it is. Now we're in a meeting and we're talking with this person. So when we're talking with this person, we have some options up here that I want to highlight so we can bounce out of the meeting. We can share our screen. We can do reactions or raise our hand. I'm not going to go through all these because they're very obvious, but you can change your camera settings or your microphone, and this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like whenever you have a big Teams meeting with a bunch of people in it, and you have something that you're working on. So in this example, everybody's collaborating on this spreadsheet. There's a bunch of people in the meeting. You can see who's talking. This is what it's going to look like. If you're familiar with Zoom, it's going to behave and operate very similar to Zoom. It might just look a little differently with where the buttons are in the layout. So let's move on. Let's talk about Teams phones. So I know this is a hot topic for everybody, so I'm going to go through it. Um, So here we are on the calls tab inside of the navigation pane. And this is what the phone is going to look like. So we have a dial pad, and then we have our call history, and then we have speed dial. So for example, let's say you want to make a call. You can dial it here. Um, One thing to note is that when Teams Phone goes live, it is a for real phone. And what I mean by that is, of course, you can call and talk to people internally at Brightpoint. So when you need to call your boss or something, you can do that here. But if you also just, for example, if you wanted to order a pizza and you were calling the pizza place, you can make external calls to outside of Brightpoint and it's going to work just like a telephone. This is going to work and feel a lot like your cell phone. So here's the dial pad, dial the phone number. Here's your call history, which we can filter by all calls, missed calls, outgoing calls, voicemails, etc. And then also over here, we have speed dial. So these are all the people that I talk to on a regular basis. So I can just click somebody's name and boom, just call them. I don't need to know their phone number. Let's talk about some settings. So up here, we have these three dots. So if we click that, that is the little settings menu. And then we click on settings inside of here to get to big settings menu. Inside of this, we're on calls. And then here's some options for Teams Phone. So in this example, we're talking about call handling and forwarding. So you can do stuff like um, when you receive a call, it doesn't ring anybody else. It might ring somebody else. You can set those things. When you can't answer a call, you can redirect it to voicemail. You can let it hang up, set how long the phone should ring for. All of these things are kind of self-explanatory, and you can click through here and set them to whatever works for you. Additionally, you can also choose your ringtones. And do not get excited. They are all terrible. I've gone through all of them, so just pick the one that you like the most, I guess. Um, so moving on, now we're going to talk about how to set up and do stuff with your voicemail. So again, we are in big settings under calls, and then we are under manage voicemail. So in here, we can record a greeting, and that's going to be where you talk and the greeting is your voice, and that's what people hear when they call and you don't answer. Conversely, if you choose, you can set a custom greeting and type out what you want your greeting to do. What you want your greeting to say, and that's what I've chosen to do here. So I haven't recorded something. I have typed this out, and then the robot in Teams is going to read this aloud to whoever calls and gets your voicemail. So that's what I've done here. You can also choose what happens when the call is redirected to voicemail. So do you let them record a message? Do you hang up on them? Whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. So here's the options I was just talking about. So you can end the call without playing your greeting. You can play your greeting and end the call. You can click through here and see what it is that you want to do. So you can also manage your out of office voicemail. So for example, if you're going to be on PTO for a couple of days, you can set a custom greeting here. This also syncs with the greeting and the automatic replies that are in Outlook. So if you set it here, it's set in Outlook. If you set it in Outlook, it's set here. So let's talk about how to navigate through some of this phone stuff. So again, we are on the calls tab inside of the navigation pane. We're under phone. And then over here, we have some voicemails that are in our call history. So we filtered by voicemail, and here's 4 voicemails. So what we can do is we can click on one. And when we click on that one, this is going to pop up, and there's going to be some information here. So we can see who called, when they called, how long they talked to us about, what a transcription of the voicemail that they left. We can also play it down here and listen to the voicemail that they left. We can call them right back. This is going to work substantially the same as your cell phone. It's all the same stuff. It just is on the computer instead of on your phone. So this is one of the last things that I want to talk about, which is apps. So apps are where Teams kind of gets off the rails and gets a little crazy. So we are in the apps page, apps tab of the navigation pane. And what we can do is we can add different things that have been built to work inside of Teams. So for example, let's say it's somebody's birthday and you want to know what kind of pizza to order. So you're going to poll everybody. So what we can do is we can go to apps and then, oh, look at that. There's a polling feature in here. So we can use the poll. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Teams channel that we want to poll. So for example, we're in this fourth grade class. We're in the general channel under the Teams tab in the navigation pane. And then we're going to click up here and we're going to click this plus sign, which is going to allow us to add that poll into the channel, configure it, like pepperoni, cheese, whatever, for the pizzas that you want to order. And then the poll is there for everybody to interact with. It's a very simple example of the kind of apps that are available, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's a little bit outside of the scope of new user training, but I wanted everybody to know that that's something that they can use and play with. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the security features inside of Teams. So I know it is super boring to talk about this, and I apologize. However, it is important. So as a community college, we are governed by lots of different data security regulations. So GDPR, HIPAA, FERPA, etc. Um, Microsoft Teams is compliant with all of those things and are configured by our security department and IT. And so, for example, if you needed to share a file that maybe has PII in it, personal individual identification, um, uh, you know, comply with whatever it is that you are governed by, but you can rest assured that whenever you share that information inside of Teams, it's compliant with those things, and also you are sharing it with the person that you think you are sharing it with. So whenever somebody logs into Teams, they have gone through Microsoft authentication and they have been verified that they are the person that they say they are that is inside of Teams. And that kind of wraps up the training. So if you have any questions, please email the help desk. Here's our email right here. You can also call us. You can also leave a comment on this video on YouTube. I will check it out. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.